now go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Money, Sex, and God. I am so happy that you're all here watching. No matter where you're watching from, make sure to let us know that you're watching. Make sure to let us know where you're watching from and how your body's feeling tonight. Money, Sex, and God is the place where we can talk about all things taboo around money, sex, and God. And I bring in experts around all three fields to really dive into these areas and help you feel the places in you that maybe you haven't really wanted to sit with over the past, couple decades. So I'm really, really honored and so super excited to bring in these two guests, friends of mine and consciousness leaders and total rock stars in the field. We're like killing out the East Coast. So Dove and Nicole from Twin Flame Revolution, thank you so much for being on. I'm so excited.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Genevieve, thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. What amazing, important topics to be discussing and to cover and to look at. And we're just so happy to be here.
Yay! I'm so psyched to be here. Yeah, let everyone know, let everyone say hi. There's gonna be a lot of new people that don't know you yet. So make sure that you guys introduce yourselves, say hi to Dove and Nicole, because these are gonna be new friends of yours for sure. These are gonna be people that you're gonna wanna follow, you're gonna wanna get in touch with for sure. So let's start us off with, your story is fucking remarkable, right? You had the most beautiful, and actually I want to start with a question to the audience before we ask the story. Those of you that are in, I want to just get a feel, those of you that are in coupledom, right? Let me know if you're already in a relationship and if you feel like you're with your person, right? So that we get that feel. And then if you're not there, let me know, like not quite there, hovering around it, let us know, right? Not quite there. Maybe you're playing the field a little bit, and maybe you're single, right? And like confused about how to go into finding what the two of you now have, right? Which has been a miraculous journey, has it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were actually laying in bed today. We were cuddling because we were going through some things and working through some things, and we like to hold each other sometimes. And we thought about, how much we've gone through in our lives together. And then before we met each other, and I said that I mean, the miracles that have happened that kept us like going and kept me alive through, and we're going to tell our story. And I'm going to let this beautiful lady start because I just love when she starts. But it's, hey, listen, we're talking about sex, God, and money tonight. We can go there. I was like, we're gonna let our hair down a little bit. I will say this, I have a lot of abuse in my story, a lot of drug addiction around me in my story. And, I was a really good kid and didn't know how to handle the abuse. And I didn't know how to handle the fact that I was psychic and that I was so connected. And to be on planet Earth as this unconditional, like love being, like I permeated it my whole life. And then to have like life kind of crush that down. I turned to, drugs and addiction. And when I talk about my addiction, I was addicted to heroin and crack and more, anything to escape. And it was interesting. It wasn't until I met this beautiful woman that I was able to sit and start to look at myself because of her love. And, how much she loved me. That mirroring was my connection back to God, baby, because I was looking for that my whole life and I couldn't find it. And I had moments where I saw God like step into my life. But when I met her, like she loved me, like I'd be in a gutter and she loved me. And, I'd be relapsing and ODing and she loved me. And like, she was wanting to pull her hair out a lot. And I know that she struggled, and we've dealing with me making amends on some of the things all the things that I've done. But to have that experience with her brought me home, man, to me. And so, a lot of times we talk about how, you got to love yourself first and be with yourself. But sometimes, we need, and a lot of the time we need people to reflect back to us when we can't see. And I couldn't see anymore. I couldn't see until I looked at, I saw her on MySpace, baby.
That's how far back you go. That's amazing.
Baby, that's how old I am. I look young, but she popped up and she was actually wearing a white dress and she's got this dark, beautiful skin and she's smiling and I was like, oh, I was like, I just wanted to like, it almost sounded creepy, but I like all this stuff flashed before my eyes where I was like, I want to cuddle her. I want to lay with her. I want to talk to her. I was like, let's talk about what sign you are. I just like, I couldn't understand what's happening. And then we befriended each other and had 2-year relationship, not even hearing each other's voice, just messaging one another, sharing art, sharing ourselves. And it was really cool because that sex factor, you know, when you're uncomfortable, you meet someone, you want to like, it wasn't there. We were just able to be like, here I am. And it was really beautiful. So I know I said I was going to let her start, but sometimes, but sometimes the masculine likes to jump in and start, you know, just get it going.
Get it out, get it done.
Yeah, get her ready, get her loosened up, like, go. You ready, baby?
I love it. Oh my God.
So you angelic beings of, right? Like I see you as like this angel that just popped into Nicole's life, right? Is like just popped in and was like, I'm gonna love you no matter what. I'm gonna love you no matter what. And I can feel it just in the resonance of who you are, this huge heart energy popping out of you. And it is just beautiful to be in your presence. So tell us, like, what was your journey like going through that and being able to love that unconditionally, that deeply unconditionally? How was that for you?
You know, well, first of all, thank you. And I was also a hot mess. You can be an unconditional loving angel and a hot mess at the same time because we're having a human experience. You know, it was really interesting. And I love what Nicole said about how we grow in relation to one another, right? And having a really deep, intimate, sacred, romantic relationship. I mean, you're really in this place. I always say, like, we feel like we have it together until, you know, you're in a romantic relationship. And then you realize how much you don't have together because you're really naked in all the terms of naked. And you're in that space with another person, seeing yourself back. If you so choose to go that far, right? If you go past this moment of boredom that happens when you stop getting distracted from yourself by another person, and then you start getting reflected back yourself by another person, right? And so, yeah, so my journey, you know, it was fast and intense right away. And the way that I loved her was, you know, I want to say outside of my control, because it wasn't something I had identified before. It wasn't something I had experienced with people before. I was really capable before of having these relationships where, you know, if something happened, we're done. You know, I could just kind of toe that line and just say, like, no, I don't want to do this with you. I feel complete. We're finished. I don't put up with that. Right. Like, and with her, it was just like, I don't know why I feel like no matter what we go through, God keeps washing the slate clean, right? Our spirit keeps just resetting. And that love just keeps resetting the things back to, I can feel you again. Like, I can trust again. I can go back here again, you know. And when Nicole was saying we were laying together today and reflecting back that we very much have in our relationship now things that we dreamed of. But, you know, next week is 12 years that we've been together officially. And we went through loads of hell, right? We went through our own journey of growth. We went through all the things Nicole was saying. We went through infidelity. And it was not only that love, but also a pretty consistent and conscious choice.
Yes.
Right. So it's like I was these two factors, because I remember not only loving, but checking in with myself and going, yeah, I choose this today. Yeah, I choose this process. I choose to not walk away. I choose to not walk away from myself, not walk away from the relationship. And I wouldn't have changed anything.
So hearing that, and I kind of feel the same way on this, right? That our partners are our mirrors, right? They reflect back, and that's the discomfort that can come up. It feels like this bubbling of energy of like, fuck, right? Like, I gotta get me out, right? That energy, right? That's like, woo, I didn't want to look at that behind my shoulder. There it is. And our partners show us that. So why do you think, if you look back in your journey, the hell that you were in at the beginning, is there a purpose to that in your life story?
Yeah.
Why do you think you had to go through that?
Well, it's really interesting because there's multiple layers of it. I mean, one is that Nicole and I, for those of you that don't know us, like, eat, breathe, and sleep like evolutionary process, because we've dedicated our whole lives, right? Like we left our past careers. I was a lawyer. We lived in New York City. You know, she owned her own business. We left everything to be in the full expression of ourselves. What that came to be is the ability to bring people into remembrance around business, around romantic relationships, around releasing your traumas. And so for me, in hindsight, a lot of the journey was also in preparation to be the people that we chose to be before we even knew that we chose to be those people, right? Like knowing at a soul level, like this is, if you want to call it mission, purpose, self-expression, right? Divine self-expression, whatever. For me, it's very synonymous. Alignment, right? They're all synonymous, abundance, with being expressed in the way that your essence wants to express. And so for me, absolutely, I knew I wanted this, you know, or if I knew I wanted this service, I just didn't know what it looked like. I knew I wanted to help people to voice themselves, to feel embodied, to feel powerful, to feel abundant. And I had years of trying to track what that meant. And so looking back, because I had to access those codes in myself first. So every code, right, every experience I have that unlocks something in me that allows me to create masterful self-mastery over something, or self-realization over something, or track to exit a negative pattern, right? Every one of those things happens through the experience of it. Right? And so, every bit of it. And also like looking at, for instance, the infidelity, you know, that required me to look at two enormous components. Well, I guess one, they really come back to really deep, unconditional self-love, because it rocked every piece of me, right? And I think it does rock a lot of us in the same way. Is it because I'm not beautiful enough? Is it because first we make it personal, which is not, right? So it's not actually about the person who is on the other side. Yeah, your marriage or your relationship might be rocky, it might be this or whatever, but the choice to go outside of that committed space, that really has to do with the other person and what's going on with them. And we want to own all of it. We want to go like, and I did, right? I was like, really listing the ways that I wasn't good enough. And so that was the first bit of the process, you know, and then the second bit of the process is, how do I identify, live, and care about myself enough to lose this person, which I had spent years with already, you know, we were headed for a divorce. How do I let that go? And how do I still feel really purposeful and really loving to myself? And it looked disgusting. It was the messiest, you know, looked like I was going straight down into a ditch and there was no coming out of it. What came out of it was like, I want to be happy. I want to love me. I want to be okay, like no matter what is going on. And I found these spaces, and I mean, that for me is a life gift. That's not just a gift that I have to work with other people. So, I mean, we could go on forever, but yes, I really see how each piece, and now it's become such a part of our process that every time something comes up for us, we're like, oh, okay, cool. Right. Like, and I can right away go, awesome. So this is going to help me to make more money. This is going to help me to feel freer. This is going to help me to have better sex. Because if we're talking about these things, right away, I know, cool, I'm hitting. And so it's, for me, it's no longer work. It's like a normal breathwork practice of life to see where there's a restriction, to see where there's a trauma, to see where there's something unresolved. And it becomes this practice of, I love the opportunity that this block that I'm now seeing is revealing to me. So it really becomes, right, you're talking about years of living, breathing this kind of practice. Like any other practice, it becomes more easeful and more rewarding.
So I just want the listeners to hear, right, that everything that's happening to you, what I'm really getting from you, Dove, is that everything that's happening to you, no matter where it is, no matter what you've assigned to it as positive or negative, is meant for you, is there for your advantage, for your evolutionary growth. Right?
And it's your creation.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Totally.
And it's your creation. Listen, so I'm not like, you know, people, and I'm sorry if I'm hitting a trigger for some of you guys, right? That is part also of Nicole and I are consciousness mentors. What does that mean? It means that we strive to shift and expand your consciousness. In order to do that, we have to come outside of the comfort of where we are presently, right? Because where you sit presently, no matter whether that is a place you don't like or you do like, it is comfort. It is holding comfort for you. So when you hear something else that is outside of that, it's going to trigger that place of comfort. And so it's okay. It's okay if, you know, and so what I was going to say is, right, so I'm not a believer in life lessons, so to speak, because I think that it kind of bypasses us in a way, because really that's our way of saying, oh yeah, so I created this shitstorm, but you know, it's teaching me something, and it's like the universe teaching me something. And then we miss the fact, like, hey, the universe is saying is, hey, why don't you take some note of the shitstorm you created? And then maybe you don't want to create that. So, you know, it's also, it's also this beautiful self-responsibility. So yes, I agree with you. You said, and I also realized where I was creating, what I was creating from, right? The world, like the stories that were going on in my head, I was contributing so much. And being with Nicole and her having these very overt difficulties, like addiction is an overt difficulty that really takes the stage. It's very easy for me to point the finger and miss where I was contributing, creating,
get it, girl,
you know, not growing,
that's
missing myself.
Taking responsibility is sexy, baby. It's so sexy. Oh my God, when she started taking responsibility, I was like, because I knew it wasn't all me at one point. I was like, wait, this is 50-50. I know I got some issues, but you got some issues too, girl. I wanted to add something to what you guys are saying. It's so beautiful. It's like, you know, I know what I came here to do. Like, I came here to serve up some revolution and really expand consciousness and help people like free themselves from themselves. Like really free yourself from your mind and all of the beliefs that you have about life and yourself, to really come back to the state of alignment. For me to do that, for some of you, you have a mission like this. For me to do that, I had to incarnate in the complete, utter opposite of that. I had to just take it all on. My soul was like, let's get it all in. Let's get raped in 3. Let's do drug addiction. Let's just nonstop, almost murdered, like nonstop. And I look back, and even when I was addicted on the streets, and I was hanging out with like homeless people and listening to their stories and connecting with them in this like hell that we were both in. What happened was, when I came out, like I couldn't judge anyone anymore. Like I couldn't judge myself anymore. I understood myself deeply. So that bred like compassion, like, and like we're talking about unconditional love, like it built it for me. To where like when I walk into a room and look at people, like they know that I see them. Because baby, I see me. Like I see me, I know me. And I know how powerful I am. And that means I know how powerful you are. So when you're talking about mirroring, when I hated myself, I friggin' hated her, right? I hated her. And then when she loved me, I hated her more because I hated myself. As soon as I started to love myself and like really take care of myself and meet my needs and all this stuff, I started throwing all kinds of money into myself, making it back 10-fold, right? Like what started to happen was I was like, baby, I don't hate you anymore. I was like, I really love you. I was like, babe, I'm in love with you. Like, I really love you. It was wild though. I went from being passionately in love to hating her, thinking we were done, to realizing that as within, so without. It was this reflection of myself. I couldn't give her anything else, couldn't see anything else. And then I changed and I was like, oh, I love you. I was like, we're good. We're good now.
Nice. I love that. Just like the example of the mirroring and what's possible, because we are ultimately just all mirrors for each other, right? And it's about clearing out your stuff, taking full responsibility for what you have created in your external reality, right? Clearing all that out, taking that responsibility that you can start to shape the people around you. Right. And the circumstances around you. So Nicole, like you mentioned that you started making 5-10 times the money, right? How did you start to create and shape that reality? How did that wealth become a piece of your life? How did you jump into that?
Well, what was interesting was when I didn't have money, I learned, because Dove taught me, like Dove's family really was all about, like, even if you didn't have money, like there are things that you need to reach for and do it anyways. And I can remember that I'll tell the story real quick. I was in an outpatient rehab and there was money that I needed to pay for something, and I was dying. Like I was dying. I was overdosing every other week, like in the hospital. Like it was really bad. And I was struggling. I couldn't get my footing. I forgot who the heck I was. And I remember we only had a certain amount of money in the bank. We had like $1,200 in the bank. And what I needed to pay for was $1,200. And my wife, I remember it was her birthday, and she was like, baby, I don't care. We gotta do it. We just do it. And we were going to call to pay. And the woman's like, listen, I talked to the insurance company. They never pay for this. The lady was like, we're paying for it. Now, that was a blessing because I was about to drop my last bit. What it taught me was that if I continue to trust, right? Yes. It's energy. It's just energy. Yes. Here's the thing about love. Love is circuitry. It is giving and receiving. Yes. Money is love, baby. It is just energy. As we give, right, especially because we're giving it in something that's really good for ourselves, like putting money into a coaching, like, business with Genevieve, like hire her, right? Coaching with them and I, or like going to the gym, yoga, whatever it is, when you put it in, it's for like your needs. What happens is the universe is like, cool, you trust, I give you back. And that's just, and we kept doing it and we kept doing it. And you know how business grows. You're at the bottom, and then like you got to put money in, and then you make all this money and you're like, oh my God. And then you got to throw it all back in and have nothing again. And then you get to a point though, where it starts to do this, like, cause now I'm starting to feel this. What it is now is that you're starting to have savings, and then you gotta buy things in your life that high vibration. Yes. You gotta buy that house. You gotta buy that expensive car. You gotta buy those things that are vibrating at a level. If you are looking to build like an empire, if you're looking to build 7 figures, like I'm not just talking about like if you're a minimalist, like that's cool too. Like whatever it is, like you build that. But I'm building an empire right now because I want to serve as many people as possible. Exactly. And I want to pay as many people as possible and give people jobs. And so as I'm doing that, it's just going like this. Zoom, 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 zoom. Yeah, totally. You get into flow state of abundance. Yes. And that has all kinds of components. That has something around money. We just talked about loving self, right? Loving those around you, really serving. Like I serve outside of my business. Like I'm giving to my friends and my family. I'm being kind, like I'm being aligned when we are aligned with our self-expression of who we are and really just let it be, that's a vibration in itself that's going to create more abundance. So, I mean, it was just like layers of stuff that.
And it was hard at the beginning. I mean, it was really hard at the beginning. We gave up everything to dive into this, both coming from a lot of lack in our lives. So having to reprogram all of that. Right. So if you guys are watching this and you have a lot of lack in your life, you experience lack, and and lack mentality is not limited to those who do not have money. Right. So I found in my work, we work a lot with people around building wealth and abundance and circuitry. And you can have millions of dollars in your bank and be stricken with lack mentality and a restriction of creation energy and no flow and the fear of things going out, because we can't hoard it either, right? You have to understand that circuitry, and you can't refuse to receive either. There are so many different things, right? When you guys were getting hyped also about energy and what money is, I mean, I have so many people say to me, well, money is bad and money is this and money is a neutral flow energy. Yes. We decide what it is. We give it the energy. We use it the way we want to use it. A big part of our work, a big part of our mission is not only helping as many people as possible with lack, but also, it's important for those who are conscious and who are, connecting to their heart and who are aware to regain the wealth of the world, right? To really reallocate that. And so for me, I think in the conscious community and the spiritual community, there is a whole nother set of stigmas and symptoms and issues that are really programs, I feel, to keep you from being all the way through in your power. It's kind of like, I want to be my full self, but I'm going to just take off one of my arms, right? Like when you're saying, I want to be fully empowered, but I reject being in abundance. You're really cutting off a part of the circuitry and flow of your energy. And for those of you who are maybe not wanting to create an empire, you're not caring about getting to that place and all of those things, what I would say to you also is then look at money as possibility, right? Opportunity. So if you want to go help and install potable water in a different country, or you want to speak on something, or you want to advocate for something, the money creates the opportunity not only for the travel, but for you to take the vitamins you need, for you to have the coach that you need, for you to, have the electric that you need to do things, right? And so I really invite you to reconsider, right, what the story is around money for you, because the story is a big part. We had to just surgically analyze our stories and keep dropping them off one at a time. And I give myself challenges in my life all the time. And it is true 100% comparable. When you make a choice to give out a number, it's also saying to the universe, that's the number you can receive. I remember somebody wanted to do a mastermind we were having around business. And they said, I don't know, it's a big number. And I said, okay, well, what are you looking to make monthly? And they gave me the same number as the investment. And I said, well, funny thing is, you can't receive that number monthly because you just said that number was too big. Yes. Right? So if it's too big to spend, it is also outside of your mental capacity to receive it. And so now already right now, like where your number is. Because if I say to you, can you give me $1? You say, yeah, sure. I say, can you give me $10? Maybe you're cool. If I say, can you give me $100? Maybe you're cool. We go up to $1,000. Maybe you're still cool. $10,000. Maybe you're still 100,000. Somewhere along the line, we're going to get to a number where you go, you crazy? That's your number. Right? The truth is, the universe does not know the difference. The universe does not know the difference between $10 million and $1. It is the way that we, through our story, our energy, our structure, our background, what we went through. $1 is not, it's not that one is small and one is big. It's just that really they're relevant to our experiences. And for me, $1 was hard to come by. It was big and it was heavy and it was scary, and I had to keep raising that up so that I could change the relationship to that.
I'm loving that. I'm loving this. Those of you that are building businesses, I hope that you are listening in on this. Building empire, right? Consciousness leaders. What can we create when we claim the new wealth, right? What is possible? And I'm loving what you guys are talking about with money when it's not in the circuitry, it's not in the flow, right? Yeah. Which to me and to the people that, are in my community, we know that flow state is actually your natural state of being. It is who you are, right? And avoiding that state is crushing down your infinite possibility and your infinite potential. Ooh. So how does this flow state, right? I'm going to go into sex. So here we go. We're going in. You guys are so sexy. I love it. How does that,
gotta receive?
Nicole's like,
I'll take it. I'm like,
how does this infinite flow state appear in sexuality, right? And how does it in your, like, in what you guys have experienced, the constriction, right? This is what I see all the time. People will constrict and then the flow stops and then people go, what? Weird, something's up, right? Tell me about your experience with your sexuality and with like how that's danced between the two of you.
Yeah, so I love what you were just saying, and I wanted to say something before that, which is like, I agree that this flow state, I call it the constant miracle state, right? It's interrupted by our stories and our traumas. Yeah. So just like that flow state of, sexuality and the connection, our stories that it was interrupted through our traumas and our experiences, right? And so where we go into the wound, where we start to constrict around ourselves, where we are going into those deep, dark places about the worth or the lack of receivership or the not seeing or the, all of those things, then you kind of shut that piece down. And we journeyed through, when we met, it was like, we never ever stopped having sex. It was just, thank God we didn't have any real jobs.
We had no responsibility at that time.
I was like, I feel like we weren't working. I can't remember
what we were doing.
I don't know. I can't remember working. I just remember having sex all day. And I think in a lot of ways that was like priming us like it was like filling the tank and priming us for a really sharp dip into a lot of pain and a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and then it kind of, you know, became this journey in and out of kind of coming back to that space. And the closer we get back into just being able to connect with that part of ourself and express ourselves, like right, like finding the expression all the way through yourself, like the sex becomes this organic way to move it through, and it's been really interesting to develop like that more and more deeply, and we've had some, I mean, the closer we get, we have such a like a sensation to feel each other like at a psychic level and an energetic level that that we've had some really wild
you lose your body for a second, really, like in the cosmos, wild, you know? I did want to share something with you guys. I'm just gonna do it. You know, it was interesting. Growing up, I was brought up in a very religious home, and you know, got slammed for being gay, and I love God so much. So it was really just a mind twist. And then that was really when I started drinking, actually, because like I believe like God didn't love me, and I loved God so much since I was little. I used to pray, and I just had this deep connection, and I knew that love, and I was that love, and then it just like that wrecked me. And you know, then I became hypersexual, and I was drunk a lot, and you know, then I went through my, you know, my player stage, because I thought if I just got as many women as I could, I would feel better about myself, and that only made me feel worse. And you know, the abuse when I was younger, and the abuse that I put myself through for not feeling like I was loved, you know. It was interesting. So when I met Dub, and we were hypersexual, it was good, and it was good.
It's even better now.
It's better now. You know, we hit a moment where I didn't, you know, I identify with, you know, my masculine energy just as much as my feminine energy, and they like to play with each other. But like I would consider myself more masculine in this relationship. But it was hard for me to come to this surrendered state with her. Like I didn't realize how much pain I was in around sex. Like I was always just like, I'm good because I'm good. And I didn't. And there was a point where I finally like showed her like, I'm friggin' scared, yo. And I remember, you know, there was times where I didn't want to be touched or held or anything. And my wife would just, you know, like put her hand on me. And just like the intimacy of her touching me, and then like it would activate me, and it would activate me down there, and I could open up, and it was a dance, and it was a scary dance, and it was frustrating. And you know, my infidelity, for instance, the time that I cheated was right when I was probably about to have the breakthrough of my life with her. And I didn't want to go walk through it. I was so scared to be like successful, or to do it, like be successful again, and then just relapse and ruin my life. And I pivoted my eyes, because it was just like something else to not feel or see or deal. It didn't have to be a drug. I was like, let me just pick a skirt, you know, like let me grab, you know, someone who thinks I'm hot. And I went down that hole for a second. And, you know, I mean, if you saw pictures of me, I was sober at the time. I looked like I was using drugs again. Like I was so out of alignment that all my friends thought I was using drugs, because I was using someone else to feel something. When I had this woman that I have this deep soul connection with, that I'm supposed to be with, that like I was so in love with, but didn't know how to be with her, because she's the spotlight on my shit. She's a spotlight. That's what it feels like, right? Like you're standing in front of her, and her love is the light. Like, so light, you guys, is just information. It's that good information. She's bringing me information, and I'm going, no, I don't want that information right now, because I don't want to face myself. And so, you know, she started working on herself, and, you know, I ended up coming home. So if you guys don't know about twin flames or deep soul connections and polarity in relationships, when you are meant to be, you are meant to be. And when you are dealing with yourself and dealing with those wounds that Dove was talking about, and we're talking about, and really getting in that alignment, what happens is your vibration is going to polarize it, suck right to that person you're supposed to be with. So when you're in the best version of you, you are going to pull in the best version of you, which is your partner, your divine partner. And now when we make love, or wait, fuck.
Give me think I know your blueprint. Listen.
I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know who's watching. I don't know.
Everybody's watching.
Yeah.
Everyone.
There's kids. My friends always have their kids watching, so I'm like,
well,
that's the only
this
reason.
Episode.
Hopefully not.
You know, I lose myself in her, and it's interesting. So when you know, when I orgasm sometimes now, guys, I really allow myself to cry because there's like this space being made.
Yes.
It's
like we're not
unraveling.
Just, yeah. Starts. So like, you know, I used to think something was wrong with me, but like when you feel safe with your partner, guess what comes up? All your grief.
Yep.
Guess what comes up? All your stuff. All your sadness. You're like, why am I sad after sex? Because you just trusted your partner to hold you and feel you. And now all this stuff's coming up so that you guys could look at it and hold it and rock with it and maybe have some more sex through it. But that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I
love that you said you lose yourself in Dove, because what's actually happening is you're remembering yourself, right? In Dove, right? And it feels like this loss because it's like loss of old self, loss of old programmings, loss of old paradigms. And those are, I always say, sexual energy just shines that light and makes it so bright that your body just starts unraveling, right? It's like, and real sex, just to let everyone know who's watching, real sex is loud. It's full of tears. It sometimes has rage. I'll scream at my partner during sex, like totally cool. Nothing wrong with it. It has people scared, closed down. That's all sex. That all counts because that is the true energy of you moving through you and connecting with in your divine union. Right? Which is what you guys are finding with each other and what you found with each other and to be celebrated, right? Because that's those most epic mirror right there that you have with each other. Most epic mirror. Yeah. So thank you for doing the work to find each other, to remind each other, to now remind all of us.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. Love it. Is there anything that you want to leave? I can't believe it's the end of time, but it is the end of time.
Oh my God.
But is there, I know, I'm like, we could do this forever. Is there anything that you feel called, you know, just like to feeling into, anything that you want to leave our audience with or our listeners with tonight that feels on your hearts to say?
Yeah, I really want to say that, you know, anything is possible, because when I look back at the experiences we had around lack and then what we were able to shift through, when I look back at the challenges that we were presented in our relationship, or that we created, I should say, and what we were able to heal through, our own individual experiences and what we were able to release from. And so wherever you are in this moment and you're feeling any lack of hope or frustration, or you're unsure how to deal with something, you know, I really do believe that with our willingness, right? Our willingness, when I say willingness to walk through it, willingness to look at it, willingness to surrender it, willingness to receive it, that you are able to move through it.
Thank you. The commitment to the higher self.
Yeah.
And then I just say, as you were talking, I totally saw this. I'm sure people in the comments will say they saw it too. This huge, beautiful purple aura all around you, like just floating right above you. Is gorgeous to watch. So thank you that you guys just watched the magic. Those of you that could feel that and see that. And what about you, Nicole? Is there anything popping in for you that you want to?
Yeah, I just, you know, I've done so many crazy messed up things in my life. And like, you know, I always mess around and say, I created shit castles, and then now I'm creating a real castle. But the one thing that I had to release was shame. It's like the complete polar opposite of unconditional love, that something's wrong with you, right? You get to not judge yourself in every moment. It's a practice that I have, because that thing will dip you, will take you for a ride, will take you for everything that you have, and you deserve to let it go because it's not yours. It never was. And really the only way through to you is to drop it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm just hearing that, just letting it. It's funny, the full moon tonight is all about trust, right? Just trusting the intuition, trusting the higher self, and letting everything else just die off. Right? Everything else gets to die off tonight. So you
let
two are absolutely let it burn. You two are absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. People can follow
so are you, mama. Woo! Oh, your energy, girl, everything. Yeah.
Yes, follow us. Twin Flame Revolution on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook.
Beautiful. Thank you. And just a reminder, everyone already knows, but we've got the hottest 2.5-day weekend happening in September. So 25th to the 27th, Pleasure Alchemy. You're reclaiming your pleasure and you're releasing shame and suffering. It's super hot. You'll see the links all over everything.
Yes.
But I just want to make sure you guys know about it. And the two of you, deep love to both of you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us and doing all the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Ciao, guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye.